What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gameball with your host, Matt Samontia. Today, we're doing a Clemson men's basketball game recap after they defeated the Miami Hurricanes 77-60 on Wednesday night, punching their ticket to March Madness. This game double-checked and answered the questions you already had answered and circled them and said, hey, we're great in this area for Clemson men's basketball. And then the questions that were left open-ended that you had to circle back on, Clemson answered those questions and showed that they are a complete, well-rounded team, a worthy team to have a lot of success to end this regular season, in the ACC tournament, and March Madness. The first question that they answered, in my opinion, was that they are a team that is now able to handle runs against them. College basketball is a game of runs. A team might go up 12-2, and then the team that's down 12-2 will go up 14-12. And then it's 20-14. And then it's 24-20. It's a game of runs. It really is. And Clemson in the past has struggled when they allowed another team to go on a run against them, closing it out, maybe taking the lead. Clemson didn't really know what hit them. But this third game in this past 3 games that Clemson's played answered with an exclamation mark that the Tigers are built to handle runs, because they were able to do it against UNC. They were up by 11 at one point against UNC around the end of the first, beginning of the second half. And then North Carolina closed it out and tied up the game. Against Syracuse, Clemson was up by like 18 at one point in the first half. They were on an 18-2 run. And then Syracuse clawed their way back into it and tied it up. And then again in this Miami game, to start off the game, Miami went up 8-2. And then Clemson, before the first media timeout, was up 11-8. There were runs later in the game because, again, Miami's a talented team, and they're capable of making runs on you with players like Matthew Cleveland, Wooga Poplar, O'Cheer. They have a bunch of dudes. George. They have a bunch of players out there. And Clemson was able to withstand the runs that Miami had. And as they say, the first time might be luck, UNC. The second time might be a coincidence, Syracuse. But the third time, it's just the real deal. Miami. And it showed that all 3 of those times were the real deal, because Clemson is now built to handle runs, which is a huge question mark that they had, and a huge question mark for any college basketball team, because if you can't handle a run, you can't win in March Madness. The second thing that Clemson really proved to me is that they can go band for band with a team. They can go shot for shot. It was always a worry that Clemson would have a moment of threes, or buckets, and then they would go cold and they would ultimately fizzle out, right? This Miami game was yet another example to relax your mind and realize, hey, they can go band for band with you. Because Miami is one of the most firepower teams. The first time Clemson played them at Miami, they lost because the first half, they put up 40-something points, Clemson did. And then they weren't able to keep up with Miami in that second half, right? Miami just kept making shots because they're a talented team. And Clemson, they fizzled out. Now, fast forward 6 weeks later, and Clemson can do it, and they did it at an even better rate than what Miami did, winning the game 77-60 after the game was neck and neck up until the 58-point mark for both teams. Clemson was able to go shot for shot and show that they can't just get a hot hand for 5 minutes and they fizzle out for the next 15. They can get a hot hand for 5 minutes and keep it for the next 15. And the last thing that Clemson did this game, and I think the most important thing that stood out to me, was they looked confident with a side of cockiness to it. And to be successful in sports and in any industry, to be honest, you need to be confident in what you do and be a little cocky about it too. Not have it go to your head where you think you're untouchable, but maybe in a situation where you go into, we'll say from a business perspective, you go into a meeting and you want to pitch an idea to board members. You want to be confident, but also be a little cocky, thinking, yeah, like I'm that guy, right? Like I know what I'm saying is right. Just like if you're going through an interview for a job, you want to be confident with your answers, but also realize entering it, nobody's better than me, but not having it be where you can walk on water. And Clemson went from being just being confident and, yeah, I'm going to shoot this shot and I'm going to make it, but shooting that shot and being like, I got a little swagger with it too. And that really stood out to me because you need that. You need that in sports. You need to have that a little 90% confidence, 10% cocky. And Clemson finally has that, which I think is going to propel them. The play that stood out to me from that confidence/cocky point was the last shot of the game that Clemson took. So Chase Hunter had the ball. There was about, we'll say, 40 seconds left in the game, 20 seconds on the shot clock. And he was dribbling the ball out. And then with about 10 seconds, he pulled up for three and made it to extend their lead by 17. And he made it and he got a little fired up. And it wasn't like he was talking garbage to, who was guarding him and the entire Miami bench, but he was just like feeling like, yeah, like I can do this. And the whole team, that was a glimpse of what the whole team, in my opinion, felt like. Like, yeah, we can do this, like, yeah, I'm that guy. Like Jack Clark, for example, there was an inbounds to Jack Clark and there was 2 seconds on the shot clock, 3 seconds on the shot clock. And he had a little, 8-foot fadeaway. And Miami ended up calling a timeout after it because Clemson went on a little bit of a run because of that. And the whole bench mobbed him. And he was like, yeah, like, I'm that guy. I'm him. And you need that to be successful. So that was my favorite part about this Clemson victory.